Reel you in.
Cool, we're not far from being live, I think. And we are live.
There you go. Welcome, one and all, to Sunday Night Live, part of the 9 Years Corporation. My name's Aaron Paul. Delighted to be with you as ever. We're watching a real crap game between Sheffield United and Liverpool at the moment. That's what it is. It's gentrified Premier League Sunday, isn't it? Anyway, let's look back at an interesting week for Wimbledon. A big win against Gillingham, and then, of course, the defeat to Hull yesterday. Plenty to chat about. We've got a late sub as well. Mark Hendricks has failed the fitness test, Stuart.
Yeah, he's up in, obviously, Mark's over in Switzerland. He's in the mountains, and he was on 4G, and it just wasn't happening. And it would have been such a delay. It would have been unfair to Mark. So, unfortunately, you have me replacing him.
He's got a tight package, does Mark. He's got a tight package. That's what it is.
I'm jealous of him, to be fair, because I was going to say he's in the mountains, isn't he? And
That's it. And joining us as ever is Anne-Marie Godfrey. How are you? You okay?
Very well. Yeah, like you said, it's been an interesting week. Had the roadmap, haven't we, at the start of the week, and two interesting performances. But I think it's been a nice sunny weekend, and I think I've just about got Hull out of my system. And I hope that Mark's altitude training and prep for pre-season is going all right. Bless him.
The road to Plough Lane is becoming clearer. Firstly, obviously, look, we know that it's not going to be immediate. Who knows? A late run for the playoffs. A super late.
You want to make
it? You never know. You never know. If you sort of won 10 games on the bounce of the PPG or something like that, or XG or some random stuff like that, there could be hope for it. But it looks like we'll see fans back. Hopefully, for me, the first weekend back next season would be amazing. Plough Lane, August sort of weather, lovely first weekend in August. It would be absolutely incredible to be back there for then.
Definitely. I'm just going to quickly say, we've got people joining in. It looks like the chat is working. If somebody would mind, I've just put a test in there. If anyone would just mind quickly just chucking something in there, and then we can make sure it's working, and then we can. Any questions, or queries, or I don't know. Let's not talk about Hull. I haven't got out my system yet, Anne-Marie.
Let's look back at a win first. The win against Gillingham. I was fortunate enough to be there. What can we take from it, firstly, apart from 3 points on the clean sheet?
I mean, for me, the first thing is I didn't realise you were there. That's awesome. And can you imagine that goal going in if it was packed out? That would have been so good. And I know they talked about that afterwards. I mean, for me, if I look back now, a few days afterwards, the big thing for me was how good Rudoni is, how important he is at the moment for us, and how much he's come on in the last season or so. I think the clean sheet was so important. It is just getting that confidence, because having that win, we knew that it was likely we weren't going to go into Hull necessarily really likely to get anything. So getting that win under the belt for that week was huge. Big boost to the players, and also getting that confidence back. We know we can keep that clean sheet. We can do it. And Gillingham's side, I think we've discussed them a couple of times. Yeah, they've been a bit of a surprise package this season, and to actually go away with a win it shouldn't be sniffed at. And I hope, from what Robbo said as well, it just the players just needed a bit of reminding. They are good. They are decent. They are good players individually and playing well as a team. And it didn't work out yesterday, but I hope that confidence isn't lost from the Tuesday, because I thought it was a massive, massive win, and I wish we were all there.
I thought Wimbledon were very, very, very organised on Tuesday. Really well organised, and a bit streetwise as well to the shithousery that was going on. Because let's be fair, they are shithouse FC. I mean, the combined blood pressure of Steve Evans and Paul Rayner as assistant must be in a solid 5 figures, because they were screaming, shouting, you name it. It was unreal. And they tried, and they tried to sort of blow the house down. And, I was speaking to someone after the game, and the attitude that needs to be there is that this is our house. You know, you don't come and... Can we swear on this, Stuart?
Yeah, ish.
You don't F around in our house. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't take piss. Obviously, yesterday was different. You're playing a whole side, don't forget, who are, you know, of a very good budget. You know, it's been a couple of difficult games. Posh and Hull are difficult games in League One. But Gillingham was there for the 3 points to be taken. And I'm sure if you ask Mark Robinson if you could pick up 3 out of 6 points in this match week, would you? He'd probably say yes. 3 points, clean sheet, happy days, and then granted you get beaten, but you know it was a difficult one. But again, the beat housery, the shit housery from Gillingham was relentless. They were calling everything. The referee made some very, very suspect decisions during the game. There was some real questionable refereeing on the whole. The liner was very, very slow on the far side. But at the end of the day, what better than a late winner? A late winner, you know, by Jack Radoni, someone who's got a growing, emerging reputation in the game. He looked fantastic. Fantastic. They're a big side, Gillingham, and he's not big. You know, and the fact that he could hustle with them effectively was really impressive.
I'm just curious, you know, on obviously Steve Evans and Paul Rayner, we know they're a tag team, if they could be a tag team.
Yeah.
What was it like though in an empty stadium? Because you know what, like you know what is going on. But it's quite interesting. My wife was watching it with me, and she kept saying to me, "Who is that shouting in the background?" And then I reminded her of playing Gillingham, and straight away she went, "Oh, like." But is it intimidating? Obviously, you can hear everything, Aaron. So is it do you think it's intimidating for the referees, or are they used to it by now?
No, because it happens in all grounds. It happens in all grounds. I was at Swansea yesterday, a bigger ground. You know, I think that holds 20-something, 22, 23, whatever it is. And Nigel Pearson was screaming. Nigel Pearson was absolutely going for it at some points because his team were shambolic in the first half. But I don't think it impacts the referees at all. At all. I don't think it impacts them. It just makes more entertainment. It makes more entertainment from inside the stadium bowl.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining.
What was Robbo like in terms of comparison? He looks very calm, doesn't he?
Calm. One thing I note massively is that where Steve Evans and Paul Rayner, who are obviously much more seasoned campaigners, were quite vocal in their disdain at some players, using a variety of colourful words to describe people, what they do, what they don't do. Robbo was very encouraging. Ashley Bay is very encouraging. Stuart, you've got a cat near your head.
Yeah, this is Molly, who is my shadow, and I forgot that her little she has like a blanket that we bought for us, but she now thinks it's hers, but it's hers, and she's now just I'm not going to tell what she's doing, but yeah, you can see.
The fact that cat is not called Lyle or Taylor, I mean, that worries me. Are you okay?
I tried it. Lorraine was like not having. Lorraine was not having it at all.
Look, considering the petition I ran when you had a son, for you to call your child Bezo Deacons, I mean, you know, I nearly got there. Nearly.
Well, saying about that though, Aaron, have you seen Bezo's, I would say, sensible interview this week?
Very, very, very sensible. I saw him wearing glasses the other day as well, which was strange, very strange. He was vocal, but you know, one thing I'll give back that whole Wimbledon camp on Tuesday night is they were very vocal, but in a really positive fashion. They were encouraging people. Let's be fair, and you know what? This is a podcast. This is not an official sort of club communique. Morale's low. Morale's not going to be high when you're getting beat and when you're battling relegation again, and you're in probably the toughest season in the club's existence, bar the first couple where it was still a case of sorting stuff out. But as a Football League club, this has got to be up there. And to have a positive voice must have been really reassuring for people. Really, really reassuring for people. Playing a back four must have been reassuring. I spoke to someone after the game who said they enjoy it. They enjoy playing a back four because, let's be fair, the club's played 3-5-2 for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And the past two incumbents have refused to change their ways, apart from Glyn towards the end, who strayed. But having listened to and spoken to a lot of coaches, they say that when you play a back four, it shows you've got trust in your defenders and your players that actually do their jobs. When you play a back three, it's because you don't trust your defenders. And the fact they played a back four on Tuesday, and that back four was very organised. It did well. It blocked. They were streetwise. They shithoused their ways themselves, and you need to do that in League One. Was really encouraging. Really encouraging.
Especially when you're up against someone like Ryan Jackson was causing us problems all night with that Rory Delap kind of throw, and exactly like you said, the way Steve Evans sets up and the way he sort of badges the opposition, badges the referee. That is just how he does it. His teams are always set up like that. They're not nice to play against. They're not easy to win against. And the fact that the defense had to be so organised against this, you don't get many players who could throw like that. You don't come around that often. And I thought, like you said, we defended that well, and I hope that's a boost. And I'm pleased to hear that it was lots of positivity coming across from the sidelines. I've for a long time I find it difficult when you hear negativity from fans being shouted at players. I don't know what it achieves, but from the manager, I think Robbo's sort of said that from quite early on, hasn't he? He wants to create that positive learning environment, because it is inevitable we'll make mistakes, and there will be more mistakes. We will lose more games this season. It will happen, but it's just about not pointing the finger and keeping everyone together. And I think having a back four, it means you sort of maybe not spreading the blame as such, but it just means there's more of you taking that responsibility to organise the defence, and that's going to be key for us if we try and stay up.
Yeah, and do you know what the interesting thing is that Robbo is obviously by trade an academy. He's used to developing players, and he's changed that. Like, if you look at the start, I was laughing the other day. I was messaging him, and he was like, we had 68% possession in the first half. Like, I don't recall us ever doing that. And the style has changed significantly. And the point you're going to get is, like, Gillingham, I thought, we worked the ball well. And I remember him saying that sometimes you need to have rest. So you have to have rest time, and rest time is possession. Because we did do a lot of possession where we didn't really go anywhere, but actually we weren't expending, we weren't using energy out. So it's interesting. I think Hull probably caught us out a little bit. Hull streetwise experienced that sort of side of it. But Gillingham, let's be fair, we didn't beat a poor Gillingham side. They're a good side. So I think sometimes when you win a game, you sometimes go, I don't know if they were that good. That sort of side of it. But I agree with the two at the back. I don't think Will Nightingale is I don't think he can play in a three, because Will just likes to attack the ball. And in a two, he can. Him and Hennigan. With Will, sometimes I felt in a three, he would sometimes get drawn out because he wants to go and get the ball. He's not one to sit back and cover and that. So it probably works well that way. But Gillingham are a good side, and it's interesting what you said about Jack Rodoni, actually, Aaron, because he seems. Obviously, you haven't seen him for a little while, but he seems to have grown up very quickly. And what I mean by that is, like, he wanted the ball. He got the ball, and actually the players wanted him to have the ball, which is probably the biggest compliment you can get.
Absolutely. It's that case of, having a kid sort of being thrust into the spotlight and just playing around everyone else and, hoping it goes okay, to actually taking the game, from by the scruff of the neck and really sort of driving from multiple positions. If you look at him, his heat map, mate, must be everywhere. He was everywhere, up and down, and it's just encouraging. And I mean, what more of a fitting tribute for Mark Robinson to have Jack Rodoni win it for him? A player he's sort of brought through. It must be emotional. It must be seeing like seeing one of your kids win a game for you. A really, really, really positive performance, and it deserved a goal. It really deserved the goal. Wimbledon were brilliant. I thought Ryan Longwell was decent as well, like really working hard, hustling. But it's that same old thing that a lot of clubs are lacking. That one goal scorer that's going to get you 20, 25 goals a season. They're such a commodity. I was just talking to someone else. If you look at the Premier League, there must be 6 to 8 clubs in the top 10 that are all going to be looking for a number 9 in the summer. If you go to the Championship, there's a load of clubs that are going to be looking for a number 9 in the summer. League One, it's the same in League Two. Everyone is looking for an out-and-out goal scorer. The problem is they're becoming more and more of a commodity because managers want to play with people drifting off the left, drifting off the right, people who work harder, people who cover more ground for them. And so that good old-fashioned number 9 target man is becoming extinct. You know, I look at sort of the South London, they're more South Central London neighbours, Millwall under Gary Rowett. They can't play without Matt Smith, without a target man. They try to play it on the deck and it doesn't work. And then you always sort of draw back to having that big focal point. And that's what every club's looking for. That is what every single club is looking for.
Do you reckon, Aaron, just very quickly, also I know you know me all quite well. Do you reckon that, because one thing I'm curious about is that we're playing a playing style that is not Wimbledon, like Wimbledon, long ball, diags, that sort of thing. The possession football, like I watched it on Tuesday night and I was like, I like watching this, but I want it to have some sort of, I don't want to pass a passing sake. You know, you need to be able to move up the field and stuff. But do you think Millwall would have set that? Because obviously they're trying to play passing football. Because sometimes your style of play is dictated by your fans, isn't it? In a way.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because I can't believe Wimbledon would want. If we were their fans on Tuesday night, I wonder how we would have reacted to it, because we like the ball to get in the mixer, you know, all that sort of comments. Do you know what I mean?
I had this debate with Millwall fans last week, and I posed the question to them on the Millwall podcast that I host. If you were to have this new system come in, this new recruitment system come in, where you're coming in and you're buying players off of stats, and you've got a head coach rather than a manager, and you're trying to really change the style of play. And let's be fair, it takes 2 years, it takes 3 years. Brentford didn't become a good team overnight, by the way. Brentford, Peterborough United, they didn't become good sides overnight. Would you have the patience for it? And they're like, truly no. Because if we lose 6 out of 10, draw 1, win 3, the fans are still going to be complaining. They're complaining, they're crying, they're complaining. And that's the problem. It's not a case of, we're not watching football anymore. We've got a lot of people on social media, and social media, I feel, has played a big part of it. Twitter is a massive, massive part of it, where people want instant gratification all the time. I just, you know, this whole head coach thing for me, I looked at it and let's put it into sort of context of Wimbledon. I hope Mark Robinson gets enough time, enough backing, the right recruitment, the right players to actually go and succeed. Because if he does, you could be looking at something brilliant. You could be looking at something very, very, very good. Football evolves, football changes. People can't just stick in one way and say, we want to play long balls, we want to play dives all the time, because, you know, in the words of the Cortinas, I know it seems strange, but things, they change.
But you know what? It's interesting, because obviously I listen to Dan McAnthony's podcast. I love it because he just can't stop swearing. You talk about swearing, he can swear. I think one episode he swore 20 times in the first couple of minutes, like hilarious. But one thing that caught me when he said it is that he says he reckons a manager needs, or head coach, needs 2 windows at least to get that team to be his team. And this is what, it's an interesting thing, isn't it, Robbo? Because fans are not there. But I do wonder, don't get me wrong, I'm patient, you know, although I don't like losing, but you know what I mean. I'm patient. But I'm just thinking, can you imagine, how are you in that sort of style? Because obviously, you know, you've been brought up on the old diags, the long balls and stuff like that. Do you think fans will accept it?
I think it's like you said, it's get that delicate balance between, you know, fans don't want to be losing, we don't want to be sort of taking too many risks. But I think one thing I've sort of taken from what you both said actually is the fact that Reed only got the goal on Tuesday. Robbo, I don't think he even necessarily really made that connection. You know, he's a young lad that he's crafted, and that in itself shows that patience that Aaron's talking about. That, you know, we've got this young lad, give it time, and now look at him. He's such a, you know, important part of the team, and that is just like a, you know, 1% of what we could have if, you know, we give it a couple of years, let things evolve. There's going to be some trial and error. Some players will be great, some players, you know, won't quite make the grade. some formations won't. And I think Robbo's, it seems he loves, he's all about coaching. He wants to be the head coach, not the manager. And with that, he'll try different systems. And I don't think he'll be the kind of guy who will be reluctant and rigid with the style. He'll try and mix it up depending on who we've got available, who we're playing against, and what we need to get from the match. So I think Robbo will be sensible, but he's spoken quite openly in his interviews. He knows what Wimbledon fans want, and I think formation wise and playing style wise, it's everyone will have their preferences, but I think the academy and just that kind of really players who really want to show it for the fans, that is kind of more important from my opinion than necessarily the kind of actual technicalities and tactics as such. And hopefully Rudoni on Tuesday is kind of symbolic of what we could get if we stay patient, sit tight, trust the process, as Robbo would say. He loves his processes.
He loves his processes, he loves his cultures, he loves his environment. Do you know what? He's a modern football coach in a club that has been sort of doing the same thing for 20 odd years. And he's got the balls to try and change it. Fair play to him. Give him time. Let's look at the whole game. Obviously, look, we can sit and wax lyrical about what's been going on and stuff like that, but a 3-0 defeat is 3-0 defeat. Anyone?
Oh,
I think Stu's muted himself.
Oh, technology. I'm old. Yeah, do you know what? Hull were just streetwise. I think Robbo or someone said that 65. I said no. Ollie Palmer on commentary on Radio WDON said that 65% of goals from Hull have come from set pieces, restarts, that sort of stuff. And you can see why. In terms of the first goal, we just got caught with a run. I personally thought both were pens. I know people debated that at the time, but if I'm being honest with it, even with my blue and yellow glasses on, I still thought they were both pens. But Hull won comfortably, and I think the only concern I have at the moment is when we lose, we lose by we've lost by 3 goals and stuff like that. So again, that shows you. The thing is, I think we talk about processes. I think the thing is when you are changing, if you're winning, it's fine. But if you're losing, that's when probably Robbo will find out more about his team. Because, you've got to try and keep the shape. But we, in the end, 3-0 flattered us because I think Hull could have won by more than that. And goal difference is becoming quite important down the bottom of the league with Burton and stuff like that. Like, what an end to the season it would be. Like, it's madness down there.
Yeah, Burton as well in really good form as well. Like, bringing back Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank has turned out to be a bit of a masterstroke from them, but they're on minus 19, Wimbledon on minus 23, Wigan on minus 27, Northampton on minus 25. It's super tight down there though still, like from Northampton to Swindon it's 5 points. Obviously Wimbledon and Burton have got games in hand over those teams, be it 1 or 2. So, plenty to play for still, like a long way to go, 17 or so games. What was it? Someone said a third of the season left to go. So, there's plenty of. There really is plenty of. I want to look at Hull, though, and just say, if you look at a lot of their squad, I mean, there's a lot of players in there that should be playing at a higher level. I look at someone like Tom Eaves, who I think is a good player. George Honeyman, Josh McGuinness has obviously played. He's toured everywhere. He's been about. He's played at Bolton. He's played at Charlton. Played at Cardiff. Matt Ingram's a good goalkeeper. They've got a settled squad. Don't forget though, this is a team that didn't get relegated. They got the shit kicked out of them last year. They got abused, demoralised in the Championship last year. And so we've got to sit here, and I'm not in the business of sort of praising like opposition managers, but fair play to Grant McCann. He's turned them round after everyone thought he'd get sort of booted. Didn't they get beat like 9-0 last year or 8-0 or something like that?
I was just going to say to you, they got absolutely hammered, didn't they? Because I think it might well have been.
It was Wigan.
Because they lost players, didn't they? So they lost a few players who didn't want to play the rest of the season. I think the captain and stuff. Obviously we had Lyle Taylor doing that, didn't we? But I think they had 3 players that didn't want to play late on because of injuries and stuff like that.
And I think, the last few seasons, teams, some really big clubs getting relegated out of the Championship, like you said, have struggled. It is not easy, and fair play to Grant McCann in that respect. You're looking at your Sunderlands, your Portsmouths, Ipswich, really big clubs who you wouldn't blame them for feeling maybe a little bit cocky. Yeah, we can just get out of this situation. It's really not an easy league to do well in. And they were very good yesterday. The very always ever optimistic side of me kind of feels, are we losing, these games sort of 2-3-0 because we continue to kind of set up with, we can still do this, we can still go, and we're letting ourselves still play attacking, which then leaves us vulnerable. That would be the optimistic side of me. That where we're still giving it a go. And there were times yesterday we did, sort of 10 or 15 minute periods at a time where we still kept going, kept pushing. That was great. I think the one, I don't know about you guys, but my man of the match for us was probably Darnell Johnson. He was everywhere. He was trying, you could just see he was going in for every challenge. He was trying to get involved in some attacking play as well, and he wanted it, and he obviously had a point to prove, whether that's because he already bleeds yellow and blue, or because he's got a big opportunity, hasn't he, to do well at Wimbledon. So he obviously wants it for whatever his motivation is. But obviously, scoreline wise, it's not great, and that's something we, like you said, with the goal difference, we really need to try and bring that down. But I'm sure, I've got full faith in Robbo and the players, because they are a good squad, and it's just make sure we keep that confidence from the win. We can see now quite how big that win was on Tuesday.
Yeah. Darnell was an interesting one for me, because I like Luke O'Neill at right back because of the delivery he's got. But they're both different players, aren't they? I think Darnell's probably more of a solid defender, whereas Luke O'Neill can put balls in. I like Darnell. I must admit, I'm getting to like Darnell a lot. I am. But I'm also wondering, how do we get Luke O'Neill back in the team? Because we can't. And maybe he doesn't get back into the team. Ollie Palmer's playing an under-23 game on Tuesday night. I think it's at Eastbourne Borough, I think. So if you put Ollie in a team, you need service, don't you? So it's going to be an interesting. But there's a couple of things you said actually. Bottom of the Championship, ridiculous. Like the size of clubs at the bottom of the Championship, Sheffield Wednesday, Birmingham, and that sort of side of it. That would be great next season. Can you imagine that the size of clubs coming down to Wimbledon on that? So I look at that. But 4 subs, like the funny thing was yesterday, we made 4 subs. I don't think any of the subs were any attacking subs. So it tells you the bench. It tells you the bench we have, on that side of it. So I think Robert's got challenges on there. But I agree with you. Aaron Hull had just got a lot of good players, like Potter, who went around a game. I think he's like in double. I think he's close to double figures this season.
Yeah.
And it probably just shows you. It shows you the difference, doesn't it? I mean, Hull kept their team, and they're doing really well. So it's been an interesting finish to the season. But I didn't like the way. I know some people said that it was a free hit and that's not going to relegate us. But losing 3-0 doesn't. You can't just forget it. You can't just switch off. And we're going to Shrewsbury on Tuesday night and then Blackpool. I don't really want us taking some serious beatings really before then.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. At the end of the day, it's all on confidence, isn't it? Confidence and keeping morale up. It's difficult. It's difficult for me. How I look at things is how close are Wimbledon to actually turning a corner in terms of what are sort of minutiae needed. And part of me is sitting there thinking, if there was a Marcus Force in that team, are they putting more chances away? Are they sticking the ball in the back of the net? It could be hinged on something as small as that. And that's what I'm hoping the next few weeks brings from Mark Robinson is more coaching, more sort of more coaching, more refined football, more something that's effectively gonna be the difference, and is gonna kick over the line there. Obviously, you can look at it and you can think about defeats and stuff like that. How can you not? How can you not? It's a funny old time, and obviously, look, the next 10 weeks, 17 games in 10 weeks, it's going to be interesting. Personally, I can't wait till the season's over for Wimbledon. I can't wait till the season's over because I can't wait to see what the summer brings and what fans bring, and it will just feel a lot better then. It'll feel a lot better then. Shit, some questions.
Yeah, so there's a few coming in here, so thank you very much. What have we got? An interesting Dubtronic is the name. I'll give you that. Are there any positives for us if we drop down to League Two? And also just put in here, also, do we need to fit McLaughlin back into the team? Well, I don't know about League Two. Positives? Don't know. I don't really want to be in League Two, but yeah.
I think if it does happen, you kind of have to take positives. Otherwise, it'd just be a doom and gloom situation. You'd have to make the positives from it. But like Aaron said, there's still a third of the season to go, and we have seen already a significant way of playing. I mean, granted, yesterday wasn't great, but we've already seen changes. Yes, we've got to be patient, but I think that we have enough quality in the squad to avoid that from happening. But if it does, we would have to make the positives out of it. Whether that's shorter away trips, I don't know. I haven't looked at the League Two table. I'll try and be optimistic.
It's still a Northern League, isn't it? I think it's still a Northern League.
Yeah. But obviously, I think whatever league we're in, there'll still be interesting challenges, and especially with the pandemic, I think football's going to look very different for the next few years, regardless of what league we're in. And every club is going to have to try and take a positive approach. And what was the other question, Stu, that you asked?
The other one's an interesting one. Do we need to fit McLaughlin back into this team?
He looked effective when he came on, and he brought that pace and energy on it because he came on late in the second half, didn't he? I mean, he's a brilliant player and he's very versatile. I think he will be exceptionally useful for us in the run-in towards the end of the season. One thing that I would throw out there is there was a lot of talk about Oksanen, and how what his role is in terms of should he be starting? Should we be using him differently? I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Well, Mark just asked a question, actually. Mark Hendricks just asked a fascinating question, because looking at the team playing at the moment versus the team beginning the season, where does Oksanen fit in, and right backs and left backs are not getting game time anymore. Do you know what? Jacko is... I was fortunate enough to see him at quite a few games early in the season at QVR, and I think he's a really, really good player. He got Brentford B Player of the Year last year. So you don't get that. Aaron, you were chatting about Brentford, weren't you, before, in terms of stat-based and look at force and that, and gone into their first senior season. But I don't get it with Oxford. I don't get it with Jacko. It just seems really weird. Dobson's come in, looks like he's taking that position. I don't know. McLaughlin was a midfielder. We made a right back. Do you remember? I think Wagstaff was injured last year, and he went back into right back. And I'm like, what the hell are we doing chucking him as right back? And actually, turned out to be a really good right back, but can play those positions. The only thing I would say, not to put a negative on it, he's out of contract in the summer. So we're going to have that rebuilding. Are we going to rebuild now, thinking what players are going to be here, or are we just going to say, look, get ourselves out of trouble? Dovtronic's just come back in very quickly, actually. Got quite a few comments in here. Positives for me is potential to play attacking football rather than defensive. Fan base will be happy with more wins. Youth players, etc.
They're totally fair comments, and lots of people have said that. In terms of enjoying the football more, but then equally we've just talked about clubs going down from the Championship to League One, feeling confident that they'll do well, and then they struggle, and we wouldn't want to be in that position, I guess. If we go into League Two, and actually, it's not an easy league itself. It's tough. It's some big, strong northern teams in there, like you said, Stu.
The Morgans
as well. Let's get to that situation.
Do you know what's interesting? I've been thinking about this. Like, we could go back to Plough Lane, not back to you. We could be at Plough Lane next season, and we could literally be in a different division, a different ground, and we could actually have players that we've never seen play before who we don't actually see. It's just, do you know what I mean? It's just, like Dobson, we're probably not going to see him because he's going to go back to Sunderland. The loan deals now. It's just, I don't know how I'm going to feel if we go back as a League Two team. It feels in a way you've been cheated, like someone's done a fast forward button, and you've just lost your League One place. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird one, isn't it? League Two doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win more games.
No, of course not. Of course not. It's a very competitive league, pal. Look at the top there. I mean, the team's fighting it out, slogging it out at the top. It's a real competitive division. I think everyone just wants to see fighting, attacking football again. I was talking to an ex-player again, and I'll always talk about that promotion season. It's one of my favourite seasons, where you have, like you sat there at Kingsmead, you just Andy Barcham just going, like literally flying down the left, swinging a ball in, and you've got one of Akin Fenwa, Aziz, Tom Elliott, or LTB just at the end of it, and it's brilliant. I remember the days when the biggest problem at Wimbledon was just George Frankham. Everyone just hates George Frankham. He was like everybody hates Kevin, wasn't it? Like, every single issue, blame George Frankham. That was it.
Do you know what I remember? Just very quickly, right? I remember he scored a goal. I think it might have been Bury when we beat Bury like 5-0 back to back in a cup and stuff. And I was sitting here, somebody who obviously didn't like George Frankham, and he scored. And he went, "Well, anyone could have scored that. It was easy." And you know what? You just think no matter what he does, he ain't gonna get any credit.
No, poor George Frankham. I just felt bad for the geezer. But it will get better. It will get better. Eventually it always does. This is such a tough season for the Football League clubs. Let's be fair. If you listen to Dara, and I know you do, Stu, and I know you're a big fan of his, that multiple clubs will be going out of business by January. It's February, going into March tomorrow, clubs are still here. So, just got to look at it with a bit of optimism. Let's just look at it and let's hope that things get better. Let's hope that we pick up the required points to stay in the division. And let's hope that Robbo gets what he wants to really build something and build on something next season.
You were saying you look. Obviously, we all are looking forward to the summer. What do you think a summer, if we stay in League One, under Robbo would look like? What do you think that he? Well, either of you, and just thinking, like, do you think that he would just try and keep developing this squad, or do you think there'll be a lot of changes, or what do you think?
It's an interesting question, because Mark's just asked the question, isn't this a problem with our recruitment, though? We are very similar players in the same positions. We have Oxana and Hartigan. Hartigan, why did he go to Newport County? They've got like a pitch worse than Peterborough. I think they're going to be playing elsewhere. We know Newport, don't we, Aaron? Newport is.
That's where we met, mate.
I know, mate. But that pitch is like ridiculous. But you know what? It's interesting, Emery, what you're saying, actually, because recruitment is a massive thing. We don't actually know who's recruiting this year. So, Robbo sort of said we probably have an assistant coach that's in a position at the moment, and we'll probably approach him in the summer. But I don't know how the recruitment's going to go, and that's probably going to be key, because I think we were saying that, what League One's going to look like is going to be difficult, because there's going to be people really with not a lot of money, maybe going after the same players, and maybe even going in now, because last season, I remember Ollie Palmer, we were chatting to Ollie Palmer, and he said he didn't sign the first deal that he got given, but he got a good contract and he signed it because actually he didn't want to be out of work. And Darren McCartney was saying, which really shocked me, I think it was on your podcast, Darren, Aaron, sorry, that there was 1,500 players out of contract last summer, and there's potentially going to be 2,000 this summer. So our recruitment's got to be on the money, and who's doing it at the moment? That's the thing. Is it going to be Joe? Is Joe going to be our director of football?
We've got to hope there's a model. There's a recruitment model. There's an algorithm, something like that, that's going to pick up players effectively.
An algorithm. I love that now.
But again, make no bones about it. It's a very difficult division. You look at Sunderland. I'm rewatching Sunderland Till They Die, or Sunderland Till I Die.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
Got a lot of questions about that whole thing, but yeah, they expected to go up from League One in that first season back. They're in their third hit in League One, and let's be fair, I don't think they'll go up this season. I can't see them going up this season. Look at Ipswich Town, another club that expected to go up again. But there's clubs, they're sitting here now. They're sitting here. And Ipswich will be here for a long time to come unless there is a takeover there. And so there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity for other clubs. We've got to look at someone like Lincoln. And I was talking to Danny Cowley the other day about the recruitment that he was able to pull off at Lincoln City when they had 5,000 fans, 6,000 fans coming through the gates. And he turned around and he said at Lincoln, when we first took over, there was 2.5 through the gates. 2.5, that's it. It was about 1,800 season ticket holders, something like that. 2.5 through the gates. Played in the FA Cup, and then it started building and building and building. But you look at some of the players and pick out 3 that he signed at Lincoln. In fact, 4, Michael Bostwick, Lee Frecklington, bringing in Frecks home, Harry Toffolo, who was cast away by Millwall. Millwall signed him from Norwich. He's a little fullback. We'll sign him from Norwich, cast away. They went, took him, converted him, sorted him out, and coached him. And the other one was John Akinde. Good players. Matt Reed, getting the best out of someone like that. Recruitment can be done. It's a case of how much you put in. It's not life, anything life. Whatever you put in, you're going to get out, And that with the Cowley brothers, they're very drilled, they're hungry, they're organised. The vision they have for the club and they had for Lincoln City was amazing. When they went to some school and they saw one Lincoln City shirt and some kid was embarrassed to be wearing it. Let's be fair, you go to a school in Wimbledon right now, or Earlsfield, or whatever part of Wimbledon you're going to go into, how many kids are we wearing Wimbledon shirts? This is such a long-term project. And unfortunately, everyone wants success and everyone wants, to be in the Championship or like pushing and knocking on the doors of the Premier League and rebuild Plough Lane fully and all that. We've got to have patience. And I think that the appointment of Mark Robinson is a really good one to look at the grand scheme of things. By the way, not just shouting out my own podcast, BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC Sounds, it's a good one.
Aaron, do you know what? The interview, I said to you before, I love the interview. Like Ryan Lowe makes me, he's so, do you know what? He says little things that really, I love all the detail about football and stuff like that. He says little things. But Danny Cowley was really interesting, actually. You're right. When he said, at one point they had 10,000 all of a sudden in the conference. And it was interesting what he said because Ryan Lowe and Danny Cowley both had the same issue in terms of location. And it was how they get these players. And we're not going to be any different, are we? But when he said about behaviours and believing in the process, and it sounded very similar, to be fair, to what Robbo's that sort of side of it. But it was really interesting to see how he his ethos and stuff like that. And actually, do you know what? He didn't actually. I know you did ask him the question, and he didn't necessarily answer it, but he did in a way. In a way, he answered it beforehand because he was sort of saying about what he looks from a club and that they research the club before he goes. And you have to think, do you know what? Wimbledon at the moment has got a lot of growing up to do still. We're still a young club in League One. Each level becomes more professional, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, when Waddy come in, then Glenn come in, everything is more professional. When Robbo's now gone, we need to go to that next step. You know what? I can't wait for the summer. Like I said to my wife today, I think this is going to be one of the best summers ever. Like celebrate. I reckon I'm going to be I don't think I'm going to be sober much during the summer, and I don't drink. So, but can you imagine the first day at Plough Lane? I reckon it's going to be. I reckon we probably. You're right what you said about the season. I think it has been the most challenging season, but I get a sense next season could be a celebration of football.
Let's be fair, sure. I'll send someone else. I can see grounds being packed out. And what I'd love to see is a full house. If they can do it, whatever they can do, get a full house. I had someone else asking me about sort of inclusivity in the local area. One thing I'll give to Wimbledon is obviously, we look at the local action group, the Don's local action group. They did great work,
excellent stuff,
amazing work in the community. But that next breed of fans, how are we bringing them in? How are we bringing them closer together? And I look at work that Charlton do, that Millwall do, and the beauty of Wimbledon to an extent is that it is a bit more of an affluent area than certain other parts of South London. It's true.
It's a massive village.
No, it's an expensive part of the world, man. It's an expensive part of the world. And even when you're heading towards like places like Putney and further in towards Fulham and Wandsworth and stuff, it's a place where people have the disposable income to go to football. And so I really hope that next year there is a real influx of new fans. There are fans aplenty. I've converted my mum into a Wimbledon fan. She was telling me the other week how she has never supported a football club ever, and she was looking at a few different options and she was researching who to support, and she's chosen Wimbledon. I want to see new life down there, and I want to get the ground packed out. At the end of the day, you pack the ground out, you're making more money for the club. You're churning. It's like a big circle. It's a big revolving circle. We should just. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun next year. I can't wait for it. That's what I'm saying. This League One campaign feels like it's draining right now. It really feels draining at points, especially when you lose.
I think football generally has been feeling like that for a long time. Lots of people have been quite disconnected. I know that Nick said on the podcast a few times, like, he just hasn't been watching Match of the Day, doesn't see the point, and I get that. I think one thing for me, I know it might sound a bit sort of cheesy and a bit cringeworthy, but obviously there's been loads and loads of focus on, football without fans is nothing, and how actually in many respects fans have probably been not relating to Wimbledon at all, but certainly at top level, fans have been stitched up with ticket prices, and I think lots of clubs have had that time to reflect and think how badly they've been treating fans as customers for so long. What I hope is, I think you're right, there'll be a big boom, we'll pack out the grounds, everyone will be buzzing to be back. I just hope the powers that be, the big clubs, the governing bodies learn from it. And I hope it's not just like a quick sort of, I hope we don't forget it, because when we are back, when we look back on this period of almost over a year, we haven't seen football, that we don't go back to the old ways. Again, not relating to Wimbledon at all, but just generally the way that fans are in non-league all the way up to Premier League. There's been so many issues within football which have arisen: racism, financial issues, all sorts of things have sort of come to a head. And I hope we can genuinely keep that out of the game, and people kind of stick to their word with the initiatives and things going forwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable when we do get back. And yes, we still got a third of the season to go, and I hope it's not draining. And I don't think Robbo plays draining football. Tuesday, I don't know what everyone's feeling. Shrewsbury, there.
Yeah, well, the good news is Steve Cottrell was out of hospital for Shrewsbury. That's great news. With that, even though he was still doing his, he was still in his hospital bed, he was still giving out the orders, which made me crack up. And I was going to quickly ask you, just very quickly before I forget, you haven't been a Plough Lane for a little while, since I don't know if you've been there since the Doncaster game, but it must have changed. It must have changed. Like, I want to go down there. Like, I was chatting to Matt in the club shop, and I said, like, when the club opens, I want to come down and see what's going on.
Yeah.
How much did it change, mate? It looks amazing. Like, how sad is it? I love the fact we we painted the stairs yellow. How sad is it? I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, mate, the whole ground, unreal, man. Like, when I went there for the Doncaster game, it was still a building site. It kind of still is a building site, but it's a bit more of a finished building site now, in terms of, like, the pathway leading towards the ground is actually tarmacked rather than, ankle breaking territory.
It was bad, wasn't it?
Just make little things like, in terms of the main stand, you can see all the way down it now when you're inside the concourse. There's no boards or hoardings. Everything seems to be fitted out. It looks really smart, really, really nice. Someone was actually asking me the other day about where did I go the other week? Brentford. Someone was like to me about Brentford. How can you draw comparisons? It was Mill fan going, how can you draw comparisons from Brentford to Plough Lane? I said, the difference between Brentford and Plough Lane is that if Plough Lane is finished, it will be bigger than Brentford. Brentford is a 17,250 and will never, you can't expand it. They're penned in three ways with railway lines.
Yeah.
Plough Lane, obviously, you've got the opportunity to build it round and replicate that massive stand. And I think Plough Lane's got a bit more grandeur to it. if you look at it, it just looks, that main stand looks stunning. It is really, really beautiful. Like, there's just something about this ground that is just gorgeous.
Posh council estate, Aaron. Posh council estate. It looks mad. Yeah, I know they're cheap. They're not cheap, are they?
Mate, it's such. I mean, look, you know, Brentford's a nice ground, but Plough Lane is really something special.
Have you bought your mum a shirt yet, Aaron?
No, I'm gonna see what she. Look, I'm gonna take her to a game. Very simple. First things first. I'm taking her to a game, and then we'll see, you know, what she wants. If she wants a shirt, she can have a shirt. She probably want a hoodie or something like that. I know what she's like. She goes on a walk. She always wants a hoodie, so I'll probably get a hoodie or something like that. But it's a real stunning place to watch football. Really, really is, Stu. Yeah.
No, just curious. I've not been there since, and I was lucky enough to go. Hey, look, Anne-Marie was go as well, but I look at it now, and I think sometimes when I see it, I get more. The more I see of it, the more I want it. Like, I know it sounds, do you know what I mean? Like, I can't wait to go in there when we all can. But I think now I only want to go back when we all can. I want that experience. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it just looks mad. And like I say, I think for me, it's just the flats and everything around it. It's a very surreal. Like, I've been to like new grounds at like Shrewsbury and that, and they're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
middle of nowhere. This is bang straight in, you know, in Wimbledon. And it just feels like, you know, even the scoreboard that was on the other day, like, although I don't know about the advertising boards, they look seriously bright, and I don't really want Rygas to be on there because none of us will see anything, will they? Imagine the luminous orange.
I'll tell you what. I was driving through Wimbledon, drove up the A3, and then come off and come to the back way, and I was banging Thin Lizzy out all the way, literally just. It was emotion, mate. Like, every time I get to that ground, I feel very emotional. I don't know why. I feel very emotional. I think, you know, when I see that monument on the corner of Palais, it is a gravestone. It is like a gravestone, but it's just so, like, the whole thing is so incredible. But you feel very emotional going there. It's very, 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 like, oh my God, this is incredible. And let me tell you, I had to shotgun the Doncaster game at work. I'm waiting for the club to tell us when the first game is, because I'm going to shotgun that one again. I will make sure I shotgun the game again, because, you know, any opportunity to bust out my poem, you know, and I'll be there, mate. But, you know, it's a fantastic venue. It's probably one of the best venues out there in the Football League. I was saying to Anne-Marie's point as well, just a minute ago. Anne-Marie, I think the appetite for the Football League, the appetite for the EFL has got bigger and bigger and bigger, because you have Premier League on all day, every day. And let's be fair, when I was watching the Manchester United game, everyone who knows me knows I'm a season ticket holder at Manchester United. I have been for 20-something years. It was shit. It was boring. You know, the fact that they're talking about XG, and Roy Keane said something very, very salient. Who cares about clean sheet? Surely the idea of football is you outscore your opponents. So if they're scoring 4, you're scoring 5. The idea is to score more goals. Yet, you know, you have teams who get bastardized by the Premier League, and effectively, they want to just stay there. They want to sit there, collect their money, you know, pass, go, collect £200, go back round the Monopoly. It's a Monopoly board. That's what it is, going round and round and round and round and round. Yet the appetite, and I can't say anything specific, but again, I know, you know, look, I'm doing 5 Lives EFL show, and trust me, I know from stats and stuff, the appetite on the pickup of that EFL show is big. Got 72 clubs, 72 stories, plus clubs in the National League that have traditionally been Football League clubs that are knocking on the door, not even knocking on it, they're kicking the shit out of the door to try and get back into it. It's the most exciting place to watch football. If Wimbledon could be a settled championship club going for the playoffs every other year, I'd be fucking delighted. Yeah.
Just quickly, have you seen Notts County's goal winner this weekend? It's a back heel.
Yeah.
So I was messaging Neil Hardy today, going to hope to get him on the show later on in a month, and he said, "Yeah, I didn't coach that. Wasn't out of my book." And you know what? You just think, but yeah, you need crowds. You need crowds, Aaron. I was watching, just very quickly. I was watching the boxing in New Zealand. Joseph Parker fighting. I like the boxing, and he was fighting in a crowd, and I watched it. I watched the whole fight because it was just nice to see a proper reaction, and I actually felt envious that they're able to go into grounds, with no mask and no nothing. So I think it'd be mad. I can't wait to next season. But I'm just going to say very quickly, pre-season, we now have got a chance. Plough Lane is ready. So who are we getting pre-season? Like this could be a mad opening. I've got this vision of Mumford and Sons doing a set before the game. Before the game, the team coming out with mascots, every mascot for every player coming out, and then just playing a glamour friendly. I don't know who that friendly is though. But I think we've got a chance now, in a weird sort of way, to celebrate Plough Lane's start from that.
Did you Richard Wimbledon ever venture into Europe?
In a Toto.
Okay. Who's in Toto?
Oh, crikey. Mikey T would be the one, because I know Mikey went to, was it Cassis? I saw a game. We played at Brighton's ground, old ground. We used that. Yeah, we used that. We used that for that. I can't remember who was in that league. We got beat 4-0 that day. And they had away fans who thought it was our first team. We were like, no, this is like a bunch of kids.
Actually, an old Wimbledon 11, like Walid Badira and stuff like that. And old Wimbledon, Sullivan,
Gareth Ainsworth, Ben Thatcher.
11 as well. The real crap 11. Like, that would be fun. That would be fun.
But, do you know what? I think on the roadmap we've got now that we're coming out of it, hopefully. I really would love us to have that really glamour. Don't get me wrong, the ideal one would be Barcelona because of the motto they have more than a club. But you know what? I'd settle for even like Saturday United. I'd settle for that just to smash it.
I think Barcelona's budget is similar to Wimbledon at the moment, pal. So no, unless they're getting the 11-hour National Express, yeah. Victorian.
Very true.
I don't even know what line goes to Earlsfield. What is it? The I can't remember. The district line. They're getting the district line down to Earlsfield and hopping a lift. You got no chance, but Barcelona, mate. Mark said in the chat, he said Notts County near Lardley. That'd be nice. That'd be nice to see near Lardley down there. FC United as well. Mate, someone should start the fan-owned cup. Literally, any team fan-owned, get it going. And hey, maybe it's an idea I should put out there. The fan-owned cup.
Yeah, it'd be nice, Berry and stuff like that to come down.
Absolutely, the fans trophy, mate.
Some people mentioned about Corinthian casuals, didn't they? They invited us to their big day out. Probably 2005, was that? 2005.
We should set up a tournament. Like I remember Arsenal used to do, like, this is going back ages now, I'm showing my age out. Like the Matika Cup, when I saw Gianluca Vialli playing for Sampdoria at Highbury, like they used to have the 4-day. I think they still have it now. We should do that. Have a 4-team tournament at Plough Lane. Just non-stop booze.
Yeah, 24/7. Just
drink that brewery dry. That's what I'm saying.
Open it up in style.
I'll tell you what. I know this is completely off topic. Just looking at ways to sort of generate money. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I'm Asian, and Asian people, we love big weddings. But that space downstairs at the club would be unreal as a wedding venue. And I just think, from next summer, if that place ain't booked out every weekend, it should be. It would be phenomenal. There's such a big Asian community in sort of, like South London and places like that. Mate, do it. It'd be very, very good. Speaking of which, a few people have asked me, I'm not going to name any names, if I'm thinking of starting up my own, like, Wimbledon fan group. So I'm thinking of the Punjabi Dons or the Punjabi Wombles, which is going to be a potential project I'm working on. Maybe a big flag to go over the seat to Plough Lane.
Sounds good, mate.
Do it, yeah.
Could be on the big wall. Could be on the big wall, mate, couldn't it?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it'll go up on the big wall, but I just don't know how many other members there are. So if there are any other people of the Asian persuasion of the Punjabi diaspora, drop me a shout. Mikey T's already an honorary member. Because we're pals. So that's what I'm thinking.
Sounds a great idea, mate. So, you're right. That venue is massive. I think the only one in the borough that's bigger is Chelsea.
Well, Wandsworth Town Hall, mate, where my parents actually got married. Wandsworth Town Hall in 1996 because it was the biggest place out there that could do it.
Wow.
Where 1,000 up,
it does look mad, doesn't it? It does look mad.
It's a phenomenal venue. It really, really is a good venue. Mark also saying Offenbach kickers. Shout.
Yeah.
Shout. Anything else? Any other business, pal?
No, it's been nice to have a chat, actually. I think with the roadmap, I have to say chat, obviously we're doing this live, but I think with the roadmap, it just gives us that little bit of hope now, doesn't it? We've just got to deal with 5 home games in March to, it's going to be a hell of a March to get us out of trouble. No, on the Shrewsbury and Tuesday, Saturday. Play games every day.
There you go. Yeah, otherwise, if there's nothing else, should we call it quits? Yeah. Thank you to everyone for joining us for the past hour. A bit of a Sunday night rant / chat / just free for all, but it was good. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you.
You enjoyed it.
For giving us a listen. Yeah, that's it really. Catch up with 9 years on the pod from your regular podcast outlets. If someone else chucked something in the comment. Hell of a March. Hopefully that's a good pun. Do you know what, Mark? I'm spotting with you, pal. Hell of a March en route. Yeah, there you go.